Final Fantasy VII is one of the most important games ever made. It has a legacy that goes through the decades, but yet I've never gotten to experience it. This is mostly due to the cost of purchasing the game. I have no problem sailing the seas, but don't have enough setup to make it worth it. But I also just haven't ever stopped to really give it a chance. Now that the second part of the remake trilogy is out, I figured now is the best time to not only experience the original, but also the first part of the remake. I'll preface this review with the knowledge that I don't like turn-based combat outside of something like Pokemon, but I tried to approach this with an open mind as possible, and I really want to experience one of gaming's biggest tentpoles with as little outside bias as possible of my personal preferences. I was aware that I probably wouldn't like this one very much purely because of my personal preferences, as I just said in the opening paragraph. I was right, but it's not a knock on the game itself. I think, especially for its time, that this game is really groundbreaking. Now I understand that I'm far from the first one to say this, but keep in mind this is me experiencing it for the first time. I liked the battles better than I thought I would, and that ever so iconic victory jingle will always make me feel like I've accomplished the biggest feat in the world. I did enjoy my time with the game, but I also couldn't really find myself gripped into it because I spent the majority of the beginning of my playtime fighting with the relatively outdated controls. The one thing that took the longest to grasp, which I understand is a cultural thing, is using the O button instead of the X button for basic actions. I know that's a thing in Japan, but my pre-wired expectations made getting used to that difficult. Otherwise, I think the graphics looked pretty good, and the characters' dialogue were interesting, after I did get a hold of the controls, of course. On the other hand, I knew going into this one that the more Kingdom Hearts-like combat was going to click with me a lot better than the turn-based did. I also really like the updated controls and graphics, as I'm a modern girly and appreciate a lot of the quality of life things that came with modern gaming. That being said, I feel like comparing this remake to the original is completely unnecessary, as in a way they're two completely different games that simply tell the same story. I did really enjoy my time with it though, and I was hooked into it through the whole experience. There was one issue, and that was the fact that the game stops you pretty much every 10 seconds to show you some cutscene that's usually only around 5 to 10 seconds. For me, it kept ruining the pace of the gameplay, but it didn't completely dampen my experience with the game. I for sure enjoyed my time with this iteration rather than the original, which I'm sure is a minority opinion, but it mostly comes down to personal preference of game type and control type. I am happy that I can finally say I've played one of gaming's biggest titles ever. This is one I've wanted to pick up for a while, and with a show like this, it was a perfect opportunity. I had a really good time overall, and I for sure think it'll be picking up the second part of the remake, and patiently waiting for the third. What was your experience with Final Fantasy VII? What should I experience next? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to be there for it. Thanks for watching!